Pozdrav svima. Evo, krenut ćemo sa današnjom radionicom. Ova radionica održava se kao jedna u ciklusu edukacija o socijalnom poduzetništvu u sklopu projekta koji je financiran od strane Europskih snaga solidarnosti Središnjeg državnog ureda za demografiju i mlade. Ovo neće biti obična edukacija gdje ćete vi samo slušati našeg predavača Michaela, već ćemo u jednom trenutku podijeliti vas u timove, odnosno svak će biti pridružen jednoj breakout sobi gdje ćete onda diskutirati o nekim temama i idejama koje ćete dobiti kroz ovu edukaciju i radionicu. Evo, da ne dužim više, prepustit ću riječ Michaelu. Michael će održati radionicu na engleskom, ali isto tako dobro razumije hrvatski, tako ako ste malo lošiji sa engleskim, slobodno, ako imate neka pitanja, ideje, diskusiju, možete i na hrvatskom. Eto ga, toliko od mene. I prije nego što Michael krene, samo bih vas molio da provjerite jeste li svi registrirani kao ime i prezime radi naše evidencije.
Michael treba upaliti svoj mikrofon.
Yeah, hey, so I was just telling Zvone something. I'm in the room with Zvone. Welcome everyone, thank you for joining this evening in such great numbers as well. So that's great to see you all here. As Zvone said, I'm going to be taking you through, as the workshop is called, Razvoj, poslovnog, modela, canvas za socijalno poduzetništvo, but actually in Croatia we often use Održana poduzetništvo as well. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm also going to send you a file that you can use. So it's going to come in the chat, which we're going to be using throughout today, because as Zvonimir said, we will be breaking or moving into breakout rooms throughout this workshop. So you will have to do some stuff. I've just sent that file now to the chat. So if you look in the chat, you will have the sustainable business model canvas. So feel free to download that and you will use that later on. Let me just share my screen and we will begin. So there we go. So a few things. First of all, in the last couple of weeks, we have had a few workshops here in FST, in Ekonomski fax, where we've been looking at the sustainable development goals and coming up with ideas for for Split and what problems exist in Split and how we can solve those problems. Now, for today, it would be good if we use some of those ideas when we're developing this this business model canvas. I'll share with you some of those ideas. We looked at education as one of the themes. And one of the problems in Croatia is when you move from school year to school year, you have to find those new books, and they can often be expensive and sometimes difficult to find. So one of the ideas was to create an application where people could easily find books when they move from school year to school year, or when they move from primary school to high school. Another idea was around health. So I don't know how many of you have been to the doctor recently, or how many of you regularly go to the doctor. But this idea was for an application where every day it automatically took some money from your bank account. And after 365 days, you had enough money that would pay for a private full body checkup. So they'd test your heart, they'd maybe do a brain scan, something like that, once a year, to be a bit more preventative with your healthcare rather than reactive, which is the system we have now. And then we had another idea, which was a big idea, which was to turn Karepovac into a type of toplice. So as we know, Karepovac is full of biogas, and to channel that biogas into being used as a thermal heating method for some kind of sauna, spa, center for maybe local people, or maybe not locals because we don't want to go to Karepovac for that. So maybe for tourists. And Gabriela, are you here as well? Gabriela. I think I saw Gabriela.
Yes, I am. Yes,
Hey,
I am.
Gabriela, do you want to share your idea from last week?
Yeah, of course. Just a second. So, one of my ideas with my colleague Helena was creation of an application that will be based on offering different services. For example, for women or victims of violence. For example, we would create an app that would give direct communication between the victims and people who want to help, perhaps some volunteers, doctors, psychologists, or anyone who is included in creating the app. And we would show different articles, maybe some examples of some media examples of something happening in Croatia or all over the world, maybe some articles where victims can recognize if they're being molested or something like that. So that was one of the ideas. And the second one was the project on national level. Maybe that's big, maybe on local level would be more realistic, but to just create, I'm not going to say create, but idea of having more safe houses in Split, because we have only one and it has so many people right now, and they have certain capacity that is not enough for this area. So I can only imagine national levels. So it would be safe houses for different types of victims, where we would help them reintegrate in the society, maybe educate, because some women are older and they have never worked. So there's this image of them being under control of their abusers and something like that, just to break some boundaries in their mind and help them become more independent, obviously. Excellent. And our goal was peace, justice, and strong institutions.
Perfect. Thank you, Gabriela, for sharing. So they were the ideas that we discussed a couple of weeks ago. And today we're looking at how to turn those ideas into potentially a social enterprise. Now, some of you might have your own ideas. If you do have your own idea that you want to develop, could you just write in the chat that something like, I have my own idea? Because when we go into breakout rooms, then Zvonimir will make sure that you are in your own breakout room with a small team of 4 people. So first of all, if you ever studied here at Ekonomski Fax, you may have seen some of these tools. SWOT analysis, everyone knows that. Pest analysis, Porter's 5 forces, Boston matrix, cost, and all of these, right? There are loads, and professors love talking about them. Well, the one we're looking at today is business model canvas with a twist. So business model canvas, as I like to say, a man or woman with a plan is a man or woman that can. Yeah, before you crack on and open your obert or your deo, have a plan, have an idea of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And this tool gives you that. This tool gives you just a framework. It offers flexibility. So you can change it, you can add, you can remove, you can put it on your wall, you can put it on your computer, and you can play around with it as much as you want. Also, analysis can be paralysis. If you want to apply for the Miera from the self-employment measures, for example, you have to do a big, not too big, but a business plan. And often business plans get you so, I don't know, it's a lot of work and maybe stop you from having that passion for something. So with this, it's meant to be quick, easy, and moving you forward, getting you thinking. It doesn't give you all the details. It gives you an overview. And if you can't come up with an answer, then perhaps there's a reason why. So as we do this, sometimes maybe you'll be stuck. That's fine. If you're stuck, that's fine. Sometimes that's because maybe no one will pay for the service and you'd need financing from local or European funds and be more like an udruga. Or maybe there is no demand for that. That's fine. This is the point of doing it. So we can test our idea and see if it's a good idea or whether it needs improving or changing. However, today, slightly different. We're doing a social enterprise model canvas. Yeah. So when we're thinking about a social enterprise, we don't just think about money. We are not Todoric. we think about three things. We think about people. These are our staff. These are our customers. These are the local community around us. We do think about profit. We're not an udruga. We want to make money. We want to make profit so we can grow, maybe grow our operations, maybe grow to other locations. And finally, planet. So how do we impact the planet? For example, in 7 generations' time, will our products still be there? We have to think about these things, okay? So throughout today, always think of people, profit, planet, people, profit, planet in everything you do. So we can make sure we're as sustainable and socially minded as possible. If you want to know more about social enterprise, if you Google Održana poduzetništvo, you'll see a lot of stuff in Croatia. There's a few big social enterprises around, or bigger ones. So just so you know where to find that. And you can always get in touch with us at Ekonomski and we'll tell you more. So next up, there we go. Today, I'm actually going to use a socijalna zadruga from Split called Vita Anst. So Vita Anst is a small organization that has an udruga and a zadruga in Mrtojak. So probably quite close to some of you, and I could almost see Mrtojak from here in Split 3. So just down the road. And I'm going to use these as our example because they're a good example. They're a working example. And another day you can even go and see them and see what they do. So you know I'm not lying and I'm telling you about a real social enterprise here in Split. And if anyone is not in Split, there are plenty of other examples all around Croatia as well. But again, today is Vita Anst. Now, as we found out over the last couple of weeks, every idea has to start with a problem. Yeah, everything around you is there because somebody wanted to solve a problem. For example, why do we all have mobile phones now with cameras on? Well, before we used to have something to call people and we took our cameras with us everywhere we went. That's too many things to carry. Let's create a mobile phone. Yeah. Before, people used to sit on the floor, but the floor is dirty, the floor is cold, whatever. They invented a chair. Yeah. So very basic, very simple and obvious things. But when we're thinking of our ideas and our solutions, we think of the problems. So as Gabriela said earlier, one of the problems in Split is there is not enough provision for people escaping domestic abuse. And her solution for that was to build more refuges, yeah, to build more centers for women escaping domestic abuse. The problem that I was dealing with was the problem that the health system now cannot cope with the amount of work that there is. And one of the problems was people don't look after their health regularly and don't have checkups. And the solution for that was to create an app that forced people to save money so they could go for a checkup every year. Now, they're the two problems we came up with. What about Vita Anst? So Vita Anst saw two problems. One was, as an udruga, it's not easy to get financing because they work with former convicts and former drug or alcoholics. Yeah, and there's not loads of funding for that. So they wanted to come up with a solution to start making their own money. And the other problem is, if you've been to jail or if you're a recovering drug addict or alcoholic, it can be very hard to get back into the world of work, yeah, to be re-socialized and to get into that routine of going to work. So their solution was to create a workplace for them that was safe, secure, and could help them get back into work. And they solved both of these through setting up a workshop where they make photo frames and little souvenirs and little ornaments for your house. So that was their solution. They came up with Vita Anst. So that's them in a nutshell. So what we're going to do quickly is Zvonimir is going to put you into groups of 4. For those people who said they have an idea already, you're going to be put into separate groups. So Stipo, Mariela, and Bruno. And the rest of you, you can either come up with a new idea that you will work on, or you can discuss the ideas that we shared before. You're going to have 2 minutes to just quickly share what your rješenja is, what your solution is, which is your business idea, and the problem that it solves. Okay, so Zvonimir, if you can please send them into their breakout groups to discuss what their idea is, what idea of the ones we shared they want to choose, and what problems the idea is solving. As you can see, Zvone is working very hard trying to figure out how to work with breakout rooms on Zoom. And what's even funnier is he can't speak while I'm speaking because he's in the same room as me. So let's bear with him.
Ići će malo sporije s obzirom da vas je puno, tako da vi koji ste već dodani možete između sebe pričati, a vi koji još niste pričekajte još minutu da vas raspodijelim.
Pardon, ja se ispričavam. Ja sam na poslu, tako da od 5:30 ne mogu pričati zapravo. Imam još nekih 10 minuta da tako da čisto da znate.
Dobro, sve ok. I'm just going to help Zvonimir.
Matko, jel se čujemo?
Ina's waiting.
Pozdrav Ina, je li se čujemo? Pozdrav Ina, je li se čujemo možda? Aha, trenutno su svi sudionici podijeljeni u sobe u kojima diskutiraju o određenim idejama i problemima, pa ćemo vas pridružiti jednoj sobi. A u stvari, kako vam ne radi mikrofon, onda ćete morati samo slušati ostatak predavanja.
Excellent. Okay, hopefully once we figured out the technical problems, you had a chance to go in a room, meet your team for this workshop and discuss the idea that you want to work on. Or maybe you chose one of the ideas I shared with you. If you got to your room and you were all confused, don't worry. Just think of using one of those ideas I discussed before, either the application for sharing books, the application for the health checkup, the application to support women from domestic abuse, or the karepovac as toplica idea. You can choose one of those. Okay, onwards we go. Next up, with any business, you need to know who your customer segments are. Now, often I work with people in tourism and I say to them, who is your customer segment? And they say, tourists. No, that's not a customer segment. That's far too big. We need to be very precise with who our customer segments are. Now, with Vita Ernst, one of their customer segments are a type of tourist. As we can see in the photo, this is Bob and Mary. They're from America. They're here on a cruise ship, and they've been traveling around the Mediterranean on a cruise ship. Now, on a cruise ship, they don't have much space, but they want to take a souvenir with them from every place they go. Now, this souvenir has to be small, and what they really enjoy is looking for social projects that are made by the local community. So they decided when they were in Split to buy something from Vita Anst. So that's one customer segment. I've told you who they are, what they look like, where they hang out, what holiday they were on. That was one of theirs. The other customer segment, as you can see, Mr. Bilic, Slaven Bilic, he's a local guy. He's got quite a bit of money. He has a family with some kids. And every year he has a family portrait taken. So he goes to a photographer who takes this photo of his family to hang on the wall. Now, Slaven doesn't want any frame. He wants a photo frame that matches the team that he's managing at that moment. So back when he was managing West Ham, he used to go to Vita Anst and say, hey, I want a frame that's maroon, purple, and blue. And so then at Vita Anst, they could make him a bespoke frame for people like Slaven Bilic. He's local, he has a family, he has a good income, he likes to buy things locally, and he also likes to buy things that are tailored to his needs. So 2 customer segments there, but going into more detail. So what I want you to do now is to have a think about 1, 2, or 3 of your customer segments for your business idea and how they look like, where they hang out. Do they have family? Are they single? Do they have lots of money? Are they employed? Think about the people that are going to pay for your service or your product. Now, sometimes this could be an organization as well, okay? So have a think of that. If it's an organization, maybe it's a public organization, maybe it's a small private organization. So whoever that is, that's your customer segment, but be very clear and be very specific. When we think of iPhones, they target different customer segments based on different features. If you like taking photos, they will promote their camera. If you're looking for something fast because you play Candy Crush and you play another 100 games on your phone, they're going to tell you about the speed that the phone works. Or if you work all over the world and you need 2 SIM cards in your phone, they're going to promote to you the idea that you can have 2 SIM cards. So they will do very direct marketing for specific customer segments. So we're going to go back into our groups, think of 1, 2, or 3 customer segments, and you only have 2 minutes, because the idea of business model canvas is you don't think too much. You discuss it with your team, you write down your thoughts, and then we move on to the next area. So Zvone, do you want to try again? Putting them into their groups, opening the breakout rooms to look at their customer segments. If you have a look at the PDF that I sent you as well, that's in the chat, you can also see a few other tips in there.
Molim samo vas koji niste prihvatili, imate sa lijeve strane ili desne obavijest da se pridružite vašoj breakout sobi, pa ako možete se samo pridružiti.
Okay, for those that are out already, if you,
Recording in progress.
who was that? Siri, she's everywhere. For those of you that are out of your breakout groups, feel free to write something about your customer segments in chat, and I will have a read and just see how everyone's getting on. But we're going to keep moving, right? This is about being flexible. Whatever's on your mind, you're sharing with your team. You're thinking, who could our customer be? Where do they hang out? What do they eat? How old are they? What's their income? Yeah, that's the idea of this. It's meant to create energy and just go through those basic ideas. After customer segments, we are looking at our value proposition. Now, a value proposition has a few names. You might have heard it called unique selling point or unfair competitive advantage. So this is something that your competitor, your rival, so for example, for iPhone, this could be Huawei, something that they would find very hard to replicate, something that they cannot do straight away. So that could be like technology or something, or it could even be design when it comes to phones. Now for Vita Ernst, how do they compete with all the other souvenirs in Split? Well, easy. Their three main competitive advantages is one, they are local. Yeah, they can boast that they're from Croatia and they're not bought in from China, as many souvenirs are here. Another thing they can boast is that they are handmade. So all of their souvenirs are made in their workshop and they're made by the people working there. So they are truly handmade and they can promote that. And finally, they can promote that they are a social cooperative, which means that when you buy something from them, that money goes back into a good cause. Now, those three things on their own may be fairly easy to replicate, but putting them all together isn't easy for a souvenir from another producer to replicate. And the same could be said about their photo frames. So their frames are bespoke to your needs. They are top quality because they buy top quality material, and also they are made by the people that work there. So people that are recovering drug addicts or former convicts. Again, that's a very unique value proposition. So that's why maybe people will come to you because of your social goal, and because of the way that if they buy from you, it reinvests in the community. Now, when we think of people, planet, profit, we can actually look at those areas a bit more. Yeah, so people, Vita Ernst, they work with recovering drug and alcoholics. Planet, they are using wooden material for their frames rather than plastic, although actually now they're using a bit of plastic, so not always wooden. And profit gets reinvested into their socijalna zadruga. So I want you to go back into your groups. Again, you're going to have 2 minutes to have a think about what is your value proposition? What will make you unique? Why will people come to you? And why can't your competitors easily change to copy you? Okay, so 2 minutes. And then when you come back, feel free again to share those in chat. Yeah, just put it in chat. You can write in Croatian or English in chat, just so I can see what you're writing about and what you're talking about in your breakout groups. So Zvone is going to send you back to your groups. I know this is a bit weird, but this is how it would work if we were in a room. I'd put you in different groups and we'd work on these different areas together. Okay, Zvone, take it away. Excellent. Okay, people are coming back. Hopefully you have something unique about you. So feel free to put into chat what makes you unique. Well, your idea unique. Not you. I don't know. I don't want to know what makes you unique. But what makes your idea unique? Please feel free to put it into chat. There we go. Just waiting for the last few people to leave the breakout rooms. Excellent. Good. Everyone's back. Okay, good. Steeple, thank you very much. AI and design for people with disability. Yeah. So Steeple's product or service is unique because it offers that, which isn't easy for other competitors to replicate. Good. A good one. Normally stuff around price isn't necessarily unique. If anyone thinks pricing is unique, it's something that competitors can quickly change. However, policies and stuff like that, you know, for example, refunds or repair, that's quite a key thing with a lot of organizations. And also your reputation is sometimes something very unique as to why people will shop with you rather than someone else. If anyone else wants to write anything in chat about what makes their idea unique, feel free to. And we're going to move on to our next one, which is channels. So we've thought about who our customers are, and you should have 1 or 2 customer segments. And we thought about why they would buy from us. So we actually have the elements of our marketing strategy, but now we need to think about our channels. Now, today's world is full of marketing channels, but using the right one to reach the right person is something that takes a bit of planning and careful thinking. For example, iPhones, Apple know that they can sell their iPhones to kids through TikTok, but they won't reach Baka Maria through TikTok. No, they'll reach Baka Maria through the little brochures from Tommy, for example, that she gets every week and reads. Yeah, so she'll be using a very different channel. They'll be using a very different channel for older generations, for younger generations, for different genders, for different nationalities. Channels are extremely extensive as well. Like there's the social media and the online channels, Google Ads, websites, stuff like that. And then there's the offline media, billboards and flyers, leaflets, paid advertisements on the sides of buses, sponsorship of conferences, going to events. And you have indirect and direct channels as well. And when we think about channels, we think about before, during, and after. So when it comes to someone like Tommy, before we know Tommy exists, we see them sponsoring Hajduk, we see their plastic bags everywhere, so we know they exist. Then when we go to Tommy while we're there, they'll keep promoting, they'll keep us there, they'll keep us offering, akcija, so we buy more and more. And then they'll also ask us for our Tommy card, our loyalty card. And then when we leave Tommy, we get something through the post, like that Tommy flyer. Or we might have their application that will send us an email. So when you think of your channels, think not only how many are there, think also, do they fit the right customer? And how do we use different ones before we sell something, while we are selling, and after we have sold it? For Vita Ernst, with their tourists, they don't really do too much promotion before, because how do they reach tourists that are coming to Split for one day on a cruise ship? It's very difficult. However, when those people are here, they make sure that their souvenirs can be seen in all the souvenir shops. So they'll have their own special display showing who Vita Ernst are and telling people why they should buy from Vita Ernst. And when people buy from Vita Ernst, on the magnet, they will see a website where they can visit the website, find out more about Vita Ernst, and maybe donate or buy more from them in the future. Yeah. So Vita Ernst, because of the customers they're working with, they don't necessarily have channels to reach them before when it comes to tourists. But for their locals, they need to do some marketing for before. So they'll appear at City Centre or Mall of Split, having a stand to raise awareness of who Vita Ernst are. Then when people go into the workshop in Martojak, people can see all of their products, and maybe they only come to buy one thing, but while they are there, Vita Ernst can tell them more information about who they are and why people should possibly buy more things. Once they leave, Vita Ernst will maybe invite you to follow their social media pages, or they'll ask you for your phone number or your mobile or your email address. So afterwards, they can send you a newsletter. They can post things on social media about new products. So they can think about their before, during, and after channels. We're going to go back into our breakout groups, where I want you to think about what channels would you use before to reach a customer segment, which channels would you use while you are selling your product or service to that same customer segment, and how you retain those customers afterwards. Because it's a lot easier to get customers coming back again and again, buying from you, if possible, rather than always having to find new customers. Okay, so have a think about 3 or 4 channels for before, during, and after, but only focus on one customer segment. Zvone is going to open the breakout rooms and also give you a little note so you remember what to talk about. The breakout rooms are open. Please join. Somebody's driving, I can hear. Okay, welcome back. I just wanted to touch on what Franica said. So she wants to open an obert for administrative work because of her experience with lawyers and the notary public's office. So when thinking about her channels, there'll probably be a lot of direct channels there, yeah, because she has quite a clear customer and can reach out directly to them. So that could even be face-to-face meetings. It could be at conferences if you know there's some kind of law conference on, and then it could be an email as well, yeah. So not everything is about passive marketing channels. You can also have those very direct and active marketing channels. If anyone wants to write any ideas they had for channels, put them in chat and I'll comment after the next slide. While you're in your breakout rooms, I'll read everything you put in chat. If you have any questions, put them in chat and I'll answer them after each slide, yeah? Okay, after channels, pretty basic customer relationships. So obviously this is very important, as I said before, when it comes to keeping your customers. You need to have the right relationship with them. You need to have the right tone, the right approach. Vita Ernst, with their tourists, it's pretty much short-term. There is no relationship there. It's like a one-night stand in business. They come, they buy, they leave, and that's it. However, with their locals, they want to maintain a long-term relationship, and they want to keep that relationship quite informal and quite community feel. So how do they do that? Well, for example, when Slaven Village walks into their shop, they know him. They know his wife's name, they know his kid's name, and they'll ask him about the family to make it very personal, very familiar, and to keep him coming back each year. Because you know what it's like. If you have really good customer service that appeals to you and is the right customer service for that business, you'll keep going back. Whereas if you don't have the customer service that you desire, you might change. Since I've been here, I changed from PBZ to Erste for that very reason. I didn't get the customer service or the customer relationship I wanted. I moved to Erste and now I have that relationship. I also switched from Arjedan to Telemach, although now I'm thinking I should change again. But again, it was down to this customer relationship. Are they maintaining the relationship? How are they maintaining it? How are they maintaining it? And is it the right formality that you want? So now, based on your last slide about the channels, think of that same customer segment and think, will you have a short-term or a long-term relationship with them? Will it be professional? Will it be friendly? Will it be weekly, monthly, or will it be every 3 months, every 6 months? So think about that relationship that you want to grow with your customer. Again, that will fit into your marketing plan going forward. We're going to go straight back in, and this one's pretty easy. So I'm only going to give you a minute to talk about this one in your breakout rooms. And again, any questions, put them in chat, and then I'll comment and respond after the breakout rooms. Zvone, take it away. Okay, Bruno, Andrea, and Ivona, you're the first ones out. So put in chat what your relationship with your customer will be like. And then I saw Ivana, Christina, and Nicola. You left, put in the chat, what would your relationship with your customer be like? While the others are slowly leaving their rooms. With all of these as well, there's no right or wrong answer. That's the joy of doing this, is that you can test this out. Excellent. Okay, everyone's back now. Or slowly coming back. So we've thought about our customer relationships, right? These last three, looking at who our customers are, what they want from us, why we're unique, how we're going to reach them, and what kind of relationship we're going to have with them is part of your marketing plan. And now a very unique part of a marketing plan of a social enterprise is linked to our end of life, not our end of life, but the end of life of the service or the product you're offering them. What happens when our product or service dies? Yeah, so if you're selling, for example, clothing, think about clothing nowadays, right? So you go to H&M, you buy a t-shirt, you wear it for a year or two, depending on what you like. Maybe you donate it to a secondhand shop who then sell it to someone else. They wear it for a bit longer, then maybe they donate it, but this time it can't be sold here. It gets sent to, I don't know, Cambodia. And somebody in Cambodia is given this t-shirt or buys it. They wear it for a bit longer, and then it has holes in, it's used for cleaning something, and eventually they burn it. Because that's the best way to get rid of it, burn it, right? Is that the end of life of our product as a sustainable company that we want to see? Probably not. No, we want our end of life of our product or service to be maybe compostable, or maybe reusable or upcyclable. Yeah, or maybe we don't want it to have an end of life. Maybe we want it to be sustainable forever and ever. So what does your end of life of your product or service do? With Vita Ernst, with their souvenirs, they're made from clay. Now, this isn't on purpose. This is purely how they work. Made of clay, and therefore one thing they could do when painting this clay is buy eco-friendly paint, so that they know that at the end of the life of this product, if somebody smashes their magnet or their ornament, they could bury it in the ground in their garden and know it will just disintegrate or break down into nothing that's harmful. Their photo frames, again, most of them are wooden or metallic. The wooden ones, cool. If they're not treated with anything, they could slowly decompose. The metal ones are another story. So when we're thinking about product or service design as a social enterprise, we think about maybe what's going to happen in one generation time. There's some organizations, one is called Patagonia, where they think about what is going to happen in 7 generations time. If we offer this service or product now, what will happen to that in 7 generations time? And will we be happy with that? So a slightly more abstract one, but I want you to think about what happens at the end of your end of life with your product or your service. Maybe it will stay forever, or maybe it's going to end up somewhere. So into breakout rooms, 2 minutes, discuss what happens at the end of your product use. If it breaks, if people stop using it, what happens then? Okay, so end of life. Obviously, when we think about this as well, with a service, you might think, oh, well, at the end of my service, then that's it. There's no effect on them. But you've also got to remember, if you stop providing support with someone, for example, women who've escaped domestic abuse, do you need to put something in there that really helps them continue that? Maybe it's even every year that they have a meeting or something. I saw here Bruno put about the long-term relationship for educating and empowering youth in small places. Well, maybe, yeah, it's a long-term relationship. Once your education stops with them or whatever mentoring support you do, maybe you still want to have an online community where they can continue to share ideas and stuff like that, you know? So end of life for products can sometimes be very different to end of life for a service, and making sure that the impact, the positive impact continues and there's no negative impact. Next up, everyone's favorite, money. Yes, show me the money. Where's your money coming from? What are you charging for? Vita Ants, they obviously charge for souvenirs, ornaments for the house, and for photo frames. Now, these photo frames depend on the size, the material used, they're all bespoke. There's not one size fits all. It's not like IKEA or Emazeta. So think about what you are charging for and think about the sustainability of that as well. Is it a sustainable investment for people? Are you encouraging fast fashion? So make sure that when you're thinking about, for example, selling, I'm trying to think of what one of you might be doing. If you're doing, for example, the healthcare that people have to invest for a health checkup, if you're charging for that, is that an affordable amount of money for some people? And then maybe you need different models in place to make sure it's affordable for everyone. Maybe richer people pay a higher percentage of their salary to people earning less. So when it comes to revenue streams, we're not just thinking about charging per product or per service, we're thinking about the way you charge and making sure it's inclusive and making sure that it's sustainable. And always think of the other models out there, like membership models. You could even do like paying in installments to make it more accessible. So looking at your product now or your service, think about what you will charge for and about how much you'll charge for it and how you'll make it sustainable and inclusive. So I've just a bit of information. I run a social enterprise called Ensoko, and I support early stage and idea stage startups, social startups. And I often say to them when they're asking me how much do I charge, first they have an initial session for free. And after that, I ask them, how much do you pay yourselves? Because if they can afford to pay themselves, say 150 kunas per hour, then I'll charge that. If they say I don't pay myself anything at the moment, but in the future I will, then I can say to them, cool, let's do something similar with me. So there's always ways of finding sustainability in your revenue streams. So into our breakout rooms, what are you going to charge for? How much are you going to charge? And how is that sustainable? Okay, excellent. So you've talked about revenue streams, how you're going to make your money, maybe how much you're going to charge for, but all of that stuff with finance, it's always good to go into more detail later on, right? It's always good to draw up budgets, to think about exactly how many you're going to sell of something and how much money that's going to bring in to make sure it's sustainable for you, your customers. And the other element there about sustainability that I didn't mention, and you see this now with a lot of companies, is sometimes people put the option to pay an extra, say $1 or $2, and that will go towards maybe replanting trees, or it might go towards carbon offsetting. So there is that element of sustainability now you see with a lot of products and services out there. Next up, we've kind of done with the marketing side of things and thinking about money coming in. We're going to look more at operations, and this should be fairly easy. So I'm only going to give you 2 minutes for each of these. So first up is our key resources. We don't have a magic wand. We are not Harry Potter. Yeah, so we need to think, what are the key things we need to have to be able to operate? Forget about laptops. That's an obvious thing. Forget about having a desk to work on. Okay, that's not a key resource. For Vita Ernst to start, they needed to have equipment for making these souvenirs and frames. They needed to have an oven for baking the clay so that they could have the souvenirs. And one of their other key resources were the expertise to be able to design and make these souvenirs and frames. Those were the key resources. A space, they have a space. Was that a key resource? Well, not really, not in this case. They could have opened or rented or used some other place, right? So their key resources, I would say, are the equipment for making their products, including an oven and including power tools, the expertise for making them and making sure they can train their other staff as well. So what are the key resources that you need to make your business, to start your business? And like I said, it shouldn't be too many things, 4 or 5 things, but they're the key for you to function. So forget about the usual things that a business needs, just focus on those key resources. We'll go straight back into our breakout rooms to talk about our key resources. Ključni resursi. Oh, Christina's on her own now. Oh, no, not now. Nicola went in. Okay, Good. Key resources, an easy one, I think, right? Because we all kind of know, what resources a company needs. So we have comparative businesses that we can do for that. And similar to the next one, this is also very easy, which is key activities. Yeah. Now, again, forget about accounting, forget about marketing, unless that is a key part of your business. Let's think about the key activities that are needed to run your business. The reason for doing these last two is key resources. They'll go into your budgeting, and key activities will help you put together an action plan and an operations plan. So key activities for Vita Ernst are one, procuring, buying, finding those raw materials. That's the first part. They need to find those raw materials and bring them into the workshop. Number two is production of the souvenirs, production of the ornaments, and production of the frames. And then the third one is it is a key activity in their case, but it's a pretty general activity overall, is distribution of those ornaments, of those souvenirs, and distribution, which is sales of the frames. They're their key activities. Bringing in all those raw materials, turning those raw materials into those products, and then distributing them out. You might even think that for each key activity, you need somebody to oversee each key activity. Yeah. You can also, when you're thinking about key activities, they have those three souvenirs, they have frames, and they have ornaments. They can also think which one of these activities is more profitable. And in the future, maybe they're not going to do souvenirs because they're not profitable anymore. So again, this is why it's useful to just break it down a little bit further. So we're going to go back into the breakout rooms for you to think about what are the key activities of your business idea. Just 2 or 3, nothing too detailed. You've got 2 minutes for this. Okay, everyone's back in. Good. Key activities, like I said, they help us in the future for planning, coming up with actions, with outcomes, with goals as well, if we want to do a bigger business strategy or a business plan, but just to get our head around what needs to be done and who can do that. Next up, we're moving on to key partnerships. Now, if you want to run a business, you cannot do everything yourself. You will need to have partnerships. Even if you want to be a one-man band or one-woman band, You'll need an accountant, for example. So that's one of your partnerships. However, again, we're looking at key partnerships here. So who should you work with? Remember, a partnership is a two-way street. You need to give something and you need to take something. So think about who that could be. And it could be an individual. It could be private, public, or third sector, like an Održana or something. It could be a group of people. But who are going to be your key partners? Now, for Vita Ernst, obviously they're working with ex-convicts. So a key partner is the prison in Split, right? They also sell souvenirs, but they don't have a souvenir shop. So they need to have partnerships with souvenir shops. They'll also need to have key partnerships with people or organizations like City Centre, because they really help them with their marketing around Christmas time. Now, you can write a list of key partners of around 10, and you can think about operations, logistics, marketing, and see who you come up with and who the most important ones are in getting your business from just an idea into running properly. Here I am, as you know, in Spi, or Dukul. I have a good relationship with the university here. I work as a mentor in their Poduzetnički inkubator. I do workshops like this. It's a perfect example of a partnership, right? And quite often the best partnerships are when you include private, public, and third sector, charity, Održana, those people. So again, you've got 2 minutes to go away and think about who are your key partners for your business idea. Okay, good. Just a short one for partnerships there, because I imagine you went into the breakout room and everyone had 100 ideas, right? And then you just were like, oh, we've got loads of potential partnerships. But seriously, do not underestimate the power of partnerships in running a business. It's very important for support, for funding, for connections. Yeah, obviously we need good connections into other sectors as well. Just wait for those people to come back. Okay, everyone's coming back in now. Welcome back. You would have talked all about partnerships. Maybe you decided to have a partnership with Severina to promote some perfume. Who knows? Who knows? They're all good partnerships, right? Okay, we haven't got a lot left to cover now because we're racing through this 2 or 3 minutes per slide. So we're almost done. There are a few key areas, and one of them is everyone's least favorite, which is spending. Yeah, if you're a business, you need to spend money. And normally we divide this into 3 parts. We have the startup costs. So they're the costs that when you want to start your business, you need to pay for straight away. Maybe that is equipment, maybe that is machinery, Maybe that is a programmer or a team of programmers. That's your startup cost. And then after that, you have your running costs. So in your running costs are your staff salaries, taxes, your bills, maybe monthly materials, monthly marketing, that kind of stuff. That's things that you have to pay for every month without fail to keep your business going. And then also the final one that's very important to have is development or impact costs. Because we're a social enterprise, we want to develop our social or environmental plans, and we also want to develop the business and grow the business. And to grow a business, you always need funds. Sometimes they come from your own company, sometimes they come from investors or loans. So think about your bills. So to start up, first of all, Vita Ernst needed their machinery, they needed their tools, and they needed their raw materials. At the very beginning, that's what they needed, right? Their running costs now are monthly materials, monthly marketing. They have the salaries of the people working in the workshop. They have the rent of the space they use. And they have usual stuff like accountant, website, domain name, all of that stuff and bills, right? For the future, they save money to invest in further programs to support people with recovering from drug or alcohol abuse or leaving prison. Yeah, they want to invest in that. They might even look at education in schools as part of their impact. And they also want to buy new tools that are better, maybe buy new materials. So we're going to go into our breakout rooms for 2 minutes again. And I want you to put in there, what are your startup costs? And just list some things. And if you know how much they are, cool, have a guess. What are your running costs? Again, list a few things. And what would you want to have some money for in the future, either to develop your business or to develop your social or environmental impact? Let's go back into the breakout rooms. Excellent. People are coming back in. I know this is fast and you have to come up with answers straight away. But the idea is you're introduced to all the themes of each part of the business model canvas, and you can go further and you can look at your own ideas and develop them. Everyone's just coming back now. Okay, excellent. Here they come. Welcome back. So they were your costs, right? They were your startup costs, your running costs, and your development costs. We're now going to move on to the last slide, but just with those costs, again, they'll go into an Excel spreadsheet, 3 different tabs: startup, running, and future development. And you can really use those along with your income to put together quite a good financial forecast. Remember, if you're ever asked for a financial forecast, it's a prediction. You don't know what will happen. Imagine all the financial forecasts in 2019 for 2020 and 2021 in tourism in Split. Then COVID hit, right? So it's always a forecast. It's a plan. Don't worry about it too much if people ask you for that. Finally, we have the most important part of a social enterprise. Positive and negative impact. Now, one thing that a lot of people like to talk about is their positive impact. Yeah, they like to talk about how they're planting trees all over Kenya, great, or how they're reducing their use of, I don't know, poisonous paints in what they produce. That's a positive impact. But we also need to think of the negative impact. So if you see, for example, Philip Morris funding some positive stuff, think about all the negative stuff they do. If you see INA telling us how they're investing in green energy, well, you've got to do a lot of that to offset your negative impact. And that's how we can start to think about, is this really a social enterprise or not? Because social enterprises generally remove as much negative impact as they can and have as much positive impact as they possibly can. And we also need to think about our assumptions here. For example, I know one project that delivered laptops to children in Chad, in Africa. But they forgot that actually a lot of kids in Chad didn't know how to use a computer. And once they could use a computer, they couldn't read. So actually, unless they were given some interactive games to help them learn to read and write, a laptop was useless. And finally, to power a laptop, you need electricity. And a lot of these villages only have very limited electricity. So it's a complete waste of money, time, effort, where they didn't really do their due diligence and they didn't think about the negative impact that they might have in the end. So that's an extreme example, of course, which happened about 15 years ago now, right in the beginning with, laptops and stuff like that and energy. But have a think about your positive and negative impact. For Avita and Ernst, obviously their positive impact is about getting certain individuals back into work, which has a huge impact. Having structure, having your own income, having self-esteem again, having a group of workmates. I've worked in that firsthand, not here in Vita Ernst, but in the UK when I lived there. And it's amazing. But the negative impact could be, what about the people that can't work for you that would like to because there aren't enough workspaces? What does it do to their morale? And how can you stop that from happening? For the products they make, positive impact. Okay, people buy these products, they're nice, they like them, but how environmentally friendly are they? Can we reduce that negative impact? So now I just want you to spend 2 minutes or 3 minutes thinking about all the elements of your social enterprise idea, thinking about the positive impact, both qualitative ones like stories that might come from it and quantitative ones, which is like the numbers that might go through, but also think about the negative impact. By setting up certain things, what is that impact and how can we stop that from happening? Again, this is quite an abstract thing to think about, especially in the world of business, but just give it a go. Spend a minute or two talking about it. I'm not looking for a final business plan at the end of this workshop, of course. This is more to introduce you to themes and get you thinking a different way when it comes to business, thinking about people, planet, and profit. So 2 minutes back in the breakout rooms. And this is the final thing you'll be discussing today.
Jel to? Čekaj.
Okay, so that last one is a big one. And actually, when I normally do workshops around impact, it's called theory of change, and that can be a whole day workshop, right? So giving you just 2 or 3 minutes is definitely not enough to talk about many of these things, but it's starting to get ideas onto a piece of paper to develop your idea a bit further. And now you should know, based on everything we did, is this a social enterprise where you can actually sell something to people, you can put it on the market, or is this an udruga where you're just going to apply for funding and get more funding than actual private money? So that's one of the good things about doing this business model canvas. And ultimately now we can review, change, and improve. We can think about, how is it coming along? Do we like this idea? Does it excite us? Is this part of our passion? Would we get out of bed in the morning to do this? Would this stop us going to coffee for 3 hours with our friends because actually we really want to work on this stuff? If the answer is yes, maybe it's the right business for you. Do you need to change things? Yeah, you maybe worked with one customer segment who actually turns out not to be your customer, not to be your buyer. Well, that's fine. We change that customer segment. We change the channels. We change the relationship. We can do that. We can easily take things off this business model canvas and put new things on and test it. And how can you improve different areas? When we think about different areas in social enterprise, we think of people, planet, profit. How can we increase our profit, but not at the same time as having a negative effect on people and planet? If you're producing things, people's first instinct is to go to China because it's cheaper. But think of what's actually happening in China and think of the environmental impact that might have compared to creating the jobs here and paying someone in Croatia to produce that for you. Okay, it might cost a bit more, but at least the effect on the environment and local people would be better. So when it comes to improving different areas, again, we can look at each block and really think about it. What I'm going to do now is, if you want to, because I see it's approaching 7 and people have to get off, if you want, you can have a minute to present your idea in short. So if you want to do that, just say in chat if you want to present your idea. I'll give you a minute and then you can share your idea and maybe we can give you some feedback. If no one wants to do it, fine. You're more than welcome to reach out to me privately. But if you want to do that, just write in chat that you wouldn't mind doing it. No one's writing in chat. Everyone's shy. See, if you were here in the room, I would just drag you out one by one. Aha, Mariela, yes, you can. Može, ajde. 1 minute you have.
Hi, okay. So we talked about big waiting lists in hospitals. So we create an application which would solve that problem by division those patients. So it would be like how old are they, is there pregnancy or not, and connect that with patients' medical history of illness. So our application would be like simple, it would be very speed, efficacious. Our old patient doesn't need to go to hospital. So about advertising, we would advertise that in social media. To old patient, we would send a flyer to their address, and of course advertising in hospitals or example in our university. I'm sorry about my bad English. I didn't speak in a while. While using application, we would have a review from our customers. Money, we would revenue money from health insurance per month. So part for maintenance and part for earnings, our earnings. Key activities would be commercials in front instead of oh my god, I'm sorry, commercials would be like in an entry of our hospital or university. A key partnership would be a state, pharmacy, private clinics, some medicine universities, and that would be like that.
Okay, I like it. I really like it because this is a big problem all over the world, in the UK as well. Because obviously, yeah, there's a lot of people on the waiting list, and maybe there should be some kind of priority for different people. So Mariela, we've got Hack for Split next month. If you want to come with that, we can try and find you a team of programmers, and maybe we could put something together. Is your background in medicine, Mariela?
Yes, I study radiology here in Split.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, bring it. Great. I love it. And also, number 2, never apologize for your English, right? Most English people don't speak other languages when they should. And I will never apologize for my seljački hrvatski, yeah? My britanski hrvatski. Because, yeah, we're trying. That's all we can do. And it's not easy to present in another language, right? So, can your whole team? Yes, if you have a whole team, you're talking about in Hack for Split, right, Matea? If you have a team, yeah, sure, you can apply as a team. If you have programmers, bring them along as well. Cool. Does anyone else want to present their idea? Maybe one more team because we have. Matea, you want to present your idea? Yes. If you want to, then go. Oh, okay. Yes, you can all come along to Hack for Split. Yes. Any other teams here who want to present their idea? Otherwise, all I have left really is, yeah, Mariela, apply for Hack for Split and we can see what we can do. I like it. Last but not least, if you have any questions, either put them in chat and I can answer them. Anything about social enterprise, there we go. There's the form for the anketa. And you can also say if you want to take part in Hack for Split, which is in April. We'll be doing more promotion about Hack for Split soon. It's a 5th version. We've run this for the last 5 years with mixed results. You know, Hack for Split, actually, again, we need to look at the positive and negative impact of it. We've had a lot of positive impact. So we're hoping to continue that this year. So feel free to apply. And definitely, if you have an idea like that, bring it with you and we'll try and connect programmers and developers with teams without them. And on that same note, if you do know programmers and developers who might be interested, get them to apply as well. For anyone else who didn't necessarily have a chance to share their idea, remember, I sent this out to you in the beginning in the chat, where you can, it just helps you fill it out, right? It gives you a few more questions. I didn't go into this much detail today, but have a look through that and you can work on that. There are many YouTube videos about business model canvas. So you can find that, and in Croatian as well. So watch those, they can help you develop. You have a blank one here as well. You have an empty one and a full one. And if you want to get my feedback, I'm happy to do that. Just add me on LinkedIn, Michael Freer Split. If you're not on LinkedIn, then this is my email. Going into chat in 3, 2, 1. And I'm quite often in SPI on a Tuesday afternoon as well. So we can always grab half an hour and talk about your ideas. But I hope to see you all at Hack for Split in April if you're interested in coming. I'm going to hand over now to Zvone to do the final closing words.
Evo, hvala Michaelu što je održao još jednu edukaciju. Nakon ove edukacije imamo još 3 edukacije u ovome ciklusu. SWOT analiza, marketing i financiranje socijalnog poduzetništva i cilj svih ovih edukacija i da za sve vas koji imate ideju i koji želite razvijati ideju u području socijalnog poduzetništva da steknete nova znanja i vještine, a ujedno da razmislite i možda testirate prije hakatona svoje ideje i odlučite se možda prijaviti za hakaton. U anketi koju sam stavio u chat daćete nam svoju povratnu informaciju o ovoj radionici, a isto tako ako ste zainteresirani za prijavu na hakaton možete naznačiti i onda ćemo vam poslati, ukoliko ste zainteresirani, poveznicu sa više informacija i potpunom prijavnicom za hakaton. Eto, toliko od mene i vidimo se sljedeći tjedan na drugoj edukaciji.